welcome back to Case Closed, anime review episode number 134. If you're curious what you're hearing right now, it is my niece and my nephews playing around. Yep, that's simply what's going on right now. You're probably hearing that. Well, it's kind of thin here. Okay, this episode I'm discussing the news episode series, episode 122. The Curse Museum. Yep. Well, yeah, it's called the Cursed Museum. Yeah, this is a bit interesting one per se, and for one thing, it's a heck of a lot better than last week's episode, which felt so completely random at best. Yeah, it felt like the last episode was nothing more than a complete waste of time of an episode. This episode, nah, not really. It was actually a pretty good episode this time. So, in the case of this episode, we start off with having Ren Sonoko, first time in a while she's been in this series. Yes, how long has it been since she last made physical appearance in the series? Like, it felt as though it's been a little while since her last special appearance in the series. Let's see. Her last appearance was way back in... Well, that wasn't a flashback per se. So it's been like 20 episodes since her last appearance, because that's the weird thing about Sonoko lately. Is that she's physically appeared in one out of the last... Before this one out of the previous 4 episodes. And before that one, her last one was basically one of the more recent canon cases of the series. Yep, so the last couple times, flashback only. And for 1003, background shot. So, yeah, this is the first proper appearance in 20 episodes. Yes, the last special appearance she made back in episode 1002, the Baka City Shopping Center Garbage Bin Mystery. Okay, so we have these 3. They go to a new museum that apparently opened up. This is not like a big, grand museum. They seem like a very small-scale one, where it's the Ancient Oriental Museum, Ancient Oriental Culture Museum, where it looks like it's like on like one of those regular shop streets, and it seems like a somewhat legit museum, except that, here's the thing. Everything displayed in the museum is not the actual thing. They're all duplicates. There's duplicate things of Tutankhamun, the Sphinx, the Screaming Mummy, which I've never heard of this one before. I've heard of Tutankhamun and the Sphinx. And there's mention about the Book of the Dead several times in the episode. But the thing is, the stuff in the museum is not what they're here to see. Oh no. This way they could just happen to walk in and see how nice this place looks. They're here for the stuff in the gift shop. Yep. They get themselves these small little keychains. Apparently they're a big thing now. So they're there. And of course Conan sees... Oh yeah, by the way, one of the things they see is a duplicate of the Rosetta Stone. Which, yes, this thing is real. So, well... They actually think it's real. The one in the episode's a fake. So, they're in the gift shop. Conan's like, he figured that he probably would slip out and they probably wouldn't notice it much at all. Like, he basically just looks at something and then he sees a notebook sitting on a table. One of these circular tables with a beautiful design on it. And he opens it up like, oh, the stuff inside of it. Interesting. Don't know what this stuff is. And then we have this guy wearing an archaeologist outfit, or a stereotypical archaeologist outfit per se, where he mentions he's a director of a museum, and basically the fact he loves kids. So, and then just by sheer coincidence, we just finished talking with Conan. Sonoko's like, I'm ready to check out now. And it's like, oh, can you handle this? Like, sure. And then of course we see there's this pedestal, we see this piece of wood breaking, and you're probably thinking, what's going on here? Unless you missed the preview, this is exactly what happens. A guy walks by an Anubis statue and things splats on him. Well, doesn't exactly cook a pancake per se, But it does kill him. And he was also apparently holding an ostrich feather. There's also mention here about when I think it was Conan was asking about a wound back of his hand. Here's the thing about that wound. Never explained. It brought up once and never brought up again. They brought up the ostrich feather as a sign that possibly knew was responsible, but no. According to Conan, they look at the past like, oh yeah, someone rigged this to do this. And so yeah, they call it murder. So who would the suspects per se? Well, the directors obviously. Why would he want to do this? So they look at the tape, see him come through, and of course they see the guy who comes in, and he comes in right after seeing a very lovely looking woman. They do say that her age is presumably in her early 40s. Mm-hmm. Yes, I believe she's in her early 40s, if not mistaken. Mm-hmm. She is how old? She's 33. I'm like, wow, 33, and she's married to a guy who's 47. So yeah, she must have married him when she was probably 20 or whatever. I'm not sure. But yeah, a guy who's 14 years older than she is, and like, wow, okay. So the only people that are basically in this episode are one-shot characters. We have this guy called Ken Katawa. He's the director, and you have Takito Izawa and Kishiya Yamadiya, who was actually a regular, and he is suspected of doing the murder, but no, he had nothing to do with it at all. Nope. And thanks to some investigating, of course, I talked to Yonako briefly, and apparently she doesn't own a cell phone. I'm like, and it's pointed out, though, I think by Sonoko says, like, that's unusual this day and age, which, yes, that is definitely true. Pretty much like every person I know has got a cell phone. Either as a smartphone per se, or the old flip phones. Heck, basically, it's very rare you see that. Because the whole thing with cell phones, it is everywhere. And also, according to Takagi, who appears in the episode Keba, excuse me, she doesn't even have a passport. Which, that's even more unusual, because a lot of people do home passports because, like, I'm sure at some point people really want to travel to the country. It's a good way to travel ID, but nope, no passport. So, thanks to some looking at some phrases inside of a notebook, which actually are codes for a particular meeting place for potential, like, because Yonako was accused, she was suspected of cheating on her husband. And it turns out she was cheating on him. Actually, they were cheating on each other because it's found out, though, this guy, oh my gosh, he cheated on her multiple times with multiple women. And he also frequently abused her. And she was also definitely considering divorcing him. And that gets someone got brought up, like, and he didn't do it sooner? Yeah. I mean, some people keep quiet about it. They want to keep a hush-hush. But yeah, I'm sure that basically no one would deny the fact this woman probably would definitely divorce her husband. Probably take all his money, too, for how much of a dirty scumbag he is. And then, of course, they go to the Tokyo Station, a train station, of course, where that's to make Yonko a potential, like, the one person is her actual lover. And they find out thanks to the whole thing about the Libyan desert, I think it's like Libyan desert, I think you mentioned this, where southeast of the prayer room, because it's all about prayers, and it turns out her lover is Isakawa. Yep, Isakawa. Which you're like, wow, that's interesting. Apparently they hooked up at some point. There's no mention exactly when. Apparently they've been lovers for some time. Oh, and they did mention that they do offer these people, they do offer an annual pass to the museum. Yamadiya was the only one who took up that offer. She declined it. But at least they forced them out there on it. No, not really. Then, of course, then it turns out, though, that Isaka was the one who murdered Yanago's husband. Because of how terrible person he is. They reveal it because because, well, I'm sure, yeah, of course, we do see something we haven't seen in some time. And what is it? Sonika being knocked out. Like, when was the last time this happened in this series? Like, it seems as though it's been a while. Like in the case before this one, when was the last time Sonika was ever knocked out in this series? Oof. Like, it has been some time since she was knocked out in this series to help solve a case, because this is like, oh my gosh, it's been such a long time. I would probably say, is it this one per se? Yes. Yeah, it was also one of the last canon cases that they had. It was also her last canon appearance, which was back in episode 995. So, yeah, her being knocked out. Much more longer time for that one than her last physical appearance in the series, which that was back in like 995. That was 27 episodes ago. Like, wow, it's been such a long time since we see this. And the way they do this, like, oh, like Conan hits her in the neck, and then just by sheer coincidence, because Yonako's got a suitcase there, she just happened to plop that right on it. And here's the thing, the way Conan's hiding is not that good, unless of course you look down, like, oh, we see like a kid with a bow tie. And of course, Sonoko, well, Conan asks Sonoko, spills the beans exactly what happened. And, well, definitely correct. The only reason why Yonko could do it is just not because she's a woman, because she's not physically strong enough to do it. In the case of her lover, yeah, he could do it no problem. Plus, he works there. So, that's probably how they met, basically, that particular museum. That's possible. But they don't go into detail about that. And of course we have, now normally in these original episodes, we have McGuire giving the speech about how bad it is to kill somebody, and this time it's delivered by Takagi. It's like they planned to give it to McGuire, but they probably just used him in the last episode. They probably want to give the character a break for an episode before they bring it back in, which, the way next week's episode looks, it doesn't look like he's going to make an appearance at all. Because they have another sequel to Whistling Bookstore. Yep. The Whistling Bookstore. Like, wow. That is quite interesting. Yeah. This is also by far the only anime original episode that has had not one, but two, two sequel episodes. Yeah. And I'm looking forward to it. Now, I enjoy the Whistling Bookstore stuff. I mean, the first one aired just a few years ago, and the second one aired 2 years after that. It seems like it's once every couple years that they air these episodes, and it's perfectly fine with me. Yeah. So, that's it for Cycler Review. Stay tuned. Well, I would probably say tomorrow, because I have no videos planned for today. So tomorrow for my, well, if I get time to tomorrow, I'll hopefully get a chance to do a few videos tomorrow, at least 4. Is it 4? Let's see. Yeah, it's 4. Because tomorrow we're down to 4 anime tomorrow, and that's just My Hero Academia, Jobless Incarnation, One Piece, and Boruto. But after tomorrow, it'll be down to 3 for a little while until December, where we're going to increase it to 5 again because of Demon Slayer. Yep. And as in the case this coming week, like Monday through Wednesday, as of currently, nothing right now for anime related. Thursday, obviously, new Shaman King episode, and then we're back here on Saturday, because Friday, there's nothing right now. I have not seen now, what about Yonko Princess Half Demon? The second episode just got released today. Yes, I'm waiting for the dub. That's probably not going to happen until, I'd say probably a couple weeks from now. Probably either next week or the following week. Okay? But I do see you all tomorrow with my next video for... Probably for Jobless Reincarnation is probably going to be next. Yep. Next video. Bye.